Item on our agenda tonight is the minutes of our previous meeting from June 28th, 2022, copies of which are in the packets. Did anyone notice any corrections or revisions that they need for the minutes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve them. A motion by Denny, is there a second? Second by Lukens. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. The minutes are approved. In reviewing the meeting packets for tonight's meeting, it's come to our attention that the supporting material for items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is missing from the packets. And it's a combination of a number of factors. There's items that are still in legal review, there's items that are still in economic development, there's items that, with the motor pool, where we need the motor pool manager, who is on vacation. So to make it fair for us and the public to understand like what we're doing and actually see our background materials ahead of the decision-making, I would like to pull all of those items and hold them for our next meeting, if you guys are okay with that. Because none of them are time sensitive. At least not time sensitive enough that 2 weeks is going to matter. So it will skip then to item number 7. Item number 7 is discussion and possible action regarding funding of various street and infrastructure projects with tax increment financing or other sources. And you'll recall a few weeks ago, a couple months ago actually, we looked at an ARPA request for 17th Avenue. And we had approved that for ARPA. But at the time, we also were interested in alternate fund sources to conserve ARPA for, large public-facing projects. And, now after recent developments in the Water Commission, knowing that the PFAS long-term solution is going to cost a whole lot of money, in an effort to recognize that we may need a substantial amount of ARPA fund to fill a gap on that if there's any. We kind of discussed last time that we needed to slow down a little bit on ARPA if we could, and until we know a little more about the water stuff. And so in that vein, Mary Ann took a look at that Elm Street project because it is in tax increment district number 8 or is eligible for funding through tax increment district number 8. And she's determined with the cash flow of that district that the district can absolutely afford to pay for our portion of Elm Street if you wanted to not use ARPA and have TID 8 fund that project to still carry it forward. So anything else, Mary Ann, that you wanted to go over with that project?
Just that we would need to file a project plan amendment for it. So, with a project plan amendment, we outline the expenses that we intend to have in the district, and then the state statutes require that we follow, a public-facing process. So we have to file a notice in the newspaper, and with the Joint Review Board members, we would need to conduct a plan commission meeting so that the public would be able to comment on that project plan amendment. And then both the Joint Review Board and Common Council would have to approve the project plan amendment. So, it would take us, 60 days maybe at the most if we wanted to do that. Obviously, this project is not slated for 2022, so we have sufficient time to accomplish that. When we look at that, it would be about $135,000. If we issued debt over a 10-year period, it would be about $135,000 a year to retire the debt. As Lisa said, the district can afford it. One of the other things that we have done with other tax increment districts is to include in the project plan doing asphalt overlay in the area, because you can do public infrastructure within the district or within the half-mile boundaries. Obviously, we don't have other revenue sources to fund our street projects. I mean, we get a little bit of money if we do a full street reconstruction from the residents through a special assessment, but that only covers a small portion of the expenses. So without other revenue sources, we really are limited to competing with all of the other expenses that the city has. So we have been using tax increment district financing whenever possible to help fund our street programs. Obviously, that infrastructure is vital to businesses and economic growth and sustainability of economic growth within the community. So it definitely is an eligible expense as far as state statutes are concerned. So that, is an option. So you could, put something like $350,000 in for asphalt overlay and to do this street project.
The Joint Review Board in the past has recognized the need for quality infrastructure to spur quality development, so I think they get that. The other thing is that when people have asked in the past, council members and citizens have asked, well, why would you use tax increment funding for roads or infrastructure? And the answer to that is that it really is a way for the other taxing entities to help us share in the cost of infrastructure rather than having the city of Wausau go it alone, because our residents are not the only users of local infrastructure, and we know that. So, it is one way to kind of spread out that responsibility and spread that pain across more taxing entities than just our city of Wausau taxpayers. So, that is something that I even questioned early on, is you would think that you'd want to spend that stuff only on buildings, but that's not necessarily true.
And the district to date has helped pay for First Avenue, that reconstruction project. Half of that project was paid by tax increment district number 8, and the other half was paid by 6. And then the other infrastructure projects that come to mind are
Well, we paid
in
for that
front of
4-lane
Katz-
bridge at UK 51.
yes.
We paid for
That
that.
was
We had
6.
6, we had
Not
some
8.
of that, right, but we used tax increment funding
Yes,
for the bridge.
But in front of Katzenbarger's, that road.
Second Avenue.
Second Avenue.
Yep.
So they did all of the upgrades to Second Avenue as well in this district specifically.
Okay, Sarah.
And then they recently did 18th Ave, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
So this would be fixing Elm and 17th? Or is it?
Just 17th Elm to.
Stewart.
Oh, okay, so 17th. And I agree with using increment for this because, those developments are creating extra traffic. And, to sustain that traffic, we need to have better infrastructure. So I think it would be great.
Well, and I think that we know already that just based on the ARPA requests we've already received, the list of them that we've not yet approved. And we know that in the future, whether it be low to moderate income housing, whether it be the water solution, whatever, there's probably a dozen more uses for ARPA than we have ARPA. So I feel like if we could find another source for like $1 million, that would really help us going forward. I guess Mike and then Sarah.
Yeah, just looking at the tax increment district number 8 cash flow projection sheet here in our packet. So then the proposed Stewart Avenue project, that's the column labeled Stewart Avenue, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so,
I should stop working past 9 p.m.
okay, so then you said if we took a 10-year note, yeah, that would fall, looks like it falls within the boundary, the timeline of
Right.
the TIF, because it's expected to close then in 2033.
Right, and
Correct?
really, you
Okay.
would, based on the increment, actually be able to continue to close it early if you wanted to, because you'd have a cumulative balance. Again, I didn't, tinker with that because the other debt that's outstanding is through 2032. So, when we went to put final financing together, we could do, let's say, a 8 or a 7-year issue rather than a 10, too, but we could, finalize that when we actually come time to borrow.
Because, yeah, it looks like it goes positive as early as 2028.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Sarah, go ahead with your comment.
So I guess my other question, and I hate to be the keep bringing this up, but is there a possibility for any infrastructure money from Wisconsin through that infrastructure?
Well, so this, this project is getting $400,000 through the state of Wisconsin, because I believe the federal government has kind of decided that all money is going to flow to the state, and then the state is going to distribute it. So this is some of that money, which again is, causing us to accelerate, even though the road is in horrible condition, from a driving standpoint, because it's so bumpy. So there is money in this project already.
From the infrastructure bill?
Yes.
All right, thank
And
you.
I guess it was just, I think the process of letting the state divvy up all of that money and not allocating it directly to cities, townships, and counties, I think is problematic, just because it's very difficult in the northern half of the state to get that infrastructure aid at the level that we needed. It always has been. And I feel like our share of that infrastructure bill funding, well, I always feel like it should have been more, but I guess I figured it would be at least as robust of an allocation as what we saw from ARPA, and it completely isn't. So, I think we had high hopes, and that's just not the way it's shaking out. So, Doug?
Thank you. I think just maybe semantics, but we did not approve that for ARPA last
Right.
time. It was put on the to
Delayed.
consider
The wait
later
and
list.
see, yep.
Okay, so we don't have to remove it from.
No, and we had asked her for alternative
Okay.
fund sources because of that.
Right.
So-
I guess my question is more procedurally here on the TID. Is it required then the TID is contiguously connected? Because we're stringing together Marathon Park, UW. I mean, it looks like we're going to be clipping.
Oh, so we would not propose boundary changes. We would live within the existing boundaries. As I said, you can spend within the half-mile boundaries, so this road is either within the boundaries or within the half mile. So we wouldn't need to do any boundary changes. So it is contiguous now. The orange was the original district, and the green was Amendment 1, I believe.
Okay,
that
so
we
then
did.
the plaza and mountain lanes are already in this?
Yes, they are.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
Well, then that makes more sense to use that to support those
Yeah.
parcels over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So under those circumstances, then, I guess, do we have a motion to direct staff to pursue the process of amending the project plan for tax increment District Number 8 with the directive that we would include this project? Is that a motion, Sarah? Okay. So we have a motion from Watson. Is there a second? Second from Martins. Further discussion? If not, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries. And so that will spur a few agenda items in a number of meetings, so you'll see those in the future. Item number 8 is discussion and possible action regarding a budget modification for Parks Department drinking fountains, and you'll see it looks like they found an alternate fund source for that as well. And if you have questions on that item beyond what's in the packets, the Parks Director is with us tonight. Does anyone have questions on that reallocation of funding? And that will save us some ARPA funding as well. If there aren't questions, is there a motion to approve that change in the fund source? And we'd still get the drinking fountain issue solved, but just with different money. Okay, we have a motion from Lukens. Is there a second? Second from Denny. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That motion carries as well. Item number 9 is discussion and possible action authorizing the execution of the DNR Principal Forgiven Financial Assistance Agreement. And let me switch in the packet to that item. And I think we have lengthy information in our packets for that. And who has that item?
I think Eric is here. It's a continuation of our lead abatement program.
Right.
With partnership with the DNR and the Department of.
Right, and so every year we've been applying for a similar funded amount, right? We apply for about as much as we think we can get work done in the
Correct,
course
yes.
of a year. So does anybody have questions for Eric on this? This is what we use to fund the grants for the homeowners to replace their side,
The
right?
private side, yes.
Yep. Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, so, Eric, what is the timeframe we need to get this in? And is this aggressive, or could we get 100 units in this timeframe?
This is the funding that we received for this year. It's just taken the DNR this long to get us the financial assistance agreement. So we anticipate all of this funding that's available, the $577,000 being spent this year, and then we'll be applying again for 2023. Is that your question, Doug?
Yeah, so we've already done some of this, we just haven't
Yes.
tapped it. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Yep, the DNR has allowed us to move ahead with the project. So once this gets signed and executed, then we'll get reimbursed for the work that's been done.
And we've had good luck getting contractors to get these done?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I mean, we have a pre-approved plumbers list, but so far this year, we've been doing okay.
Okay.
getting these lead services replaced, yeah.
Does the city do any of that work itself?
Not on the private side. We replace our side in the
Right.
street, yeah, but not the private side.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. And then with that program, the street does not need to be under construction for the homeowner to apply, correct? Or does it?
Right, it doesn't. The priority goes to our street reconstruction projects first, and then as those homeowners, and we have funding available, then we go to past street projects where our side has already been replaced.
Okay,
And then the commission has also approved that if, let's say, a homeowner has a leaky service line that's lead, then they would be eligible to use these grant dollars as long as they're available as well for their full replacement on their side, and then we'll replace ours at the same time.
Okay.
So,
Carol, you had a question? Go ahead.
Just a simple one. Principal forgiveness, what does the principal mean?
it means, typically what it'll be is it's a loan, because that's how the DNR is set up to provide loans. But then the principal amount, the amount that they're providing us is forgiven. It's not a loan.
Okay.
So it's essentially a grant. It's just, we have to go through the loan process, and then they just forgive that loan.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like the principal amount, is there interest then that the city pays? So
There's
thank you.
not,
So it's
yeah,
basically
it's-
like a grant, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I think it works because our clean water and our safe drinking water for both our water plant and our sewer plant were funded in similar fashions, and then only a portion of it was forgiven. So it allows them to, show an entire project, but then only forgive a portion of it if they so choose. But this one is fully forgiven.
Yes, yeah.
Sarah, go ahead.
Do you know how many people have applied and how many households you have left?
Yeah, right now, I don't know how many have applied and actually that we've done. I know that right now, I believe we have about 144,000 of that 577 left. And so, depending on where the DNR is at, I do think that we may have the opportunity to ask for more this year if the need, we obviously have a need, but we have to have the residents at this point, volunteer to do it, so.
And so anybody that has a lead lateral to their private house could apply even if there's no construction? But they're farther down on the
No,
list.
how the commission has that set up, like I said, is once we get through the construction projects, then we go to past projects where we've already replaced our side, and we send out notices to those residents. And then last would be those, that both the public and the private side are still intact.
So really, a resident shouldn't apply, they should wait for a letter.
Right,
That
they
they
should wait for a
qualify.
letter,
Okay.
and if they do have specific questions, they should call Wausau Waterworks directly.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Okay,
And so if we let's say we get through those groups of people, either the
Yep.
construction, the old construction, or the leaking ones, and there are not enough takers by the end of those three groups, then do we consider applications from private homeowners that are otherwise intact?
we do, especially those that have had problems in the past.
Okay.
And then how we're trying to set it up with the commission right now is we're going through a lead service line replacement plan, which we'll need because of the new rules that are coming down. So what that's going to do is set up the city in priorities. And so, like, which residents would be most susceptible to having lead, like low water use, possibly low-income areas, those types of areas
Sure.
that, where children are, so we're focusing on those areas. And so those priorities are going to be set through that plan. And hopefully that plan will be done here late summer, early fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions? If not, is there a motion then to approve the application? Motion from Watson, second. Second from Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Item number 10 is discussion and possible action regarding the 2022 State Operating Assistance Agreement for Metro Ride. Does anyone have questions on that agreement? The transit director is here, if so. If not, is there a motion then to approve the agreement? Motion from Martins, is there a second? Second from Lukens. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries as well. Item number 11 is discussion and possible action regarding the 2022 State Paratransit Supplemental Aid Agreement for Metro Ride. Also, some standard contract type stuff. Does anybody have any questions for Greg on that one? If not, I'll take a motion to approve it as well. Motion from Watson, is there a second? Second from Martins. Further discussion? Seeing none, members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None are opposed, that motion carries as well. And item number 12 is discussion and possible action on a master subscription agreement between the City of Wausau and Granicus LLC for web design and hosting services. And you'll see in the packet that the city and county recognized pretty much together that they both need better websites. And so they're working together to find a firm to rework them both, which then allows us to achieve some economies of scale if we work together. Does anybody have any questions on that contract? Sarah?
Is it known that if the county approved, working with this organization or not yet?
Did they approve their half? I don't know if they've.
For Granicus, yes,
Okay.
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Come on up, just state your name and address for the record.
Troy Curzine, manager for IT, 243-225 County Road, WW. So the county did approve, and it was signed by Lance, so it's been moved onto the invoicing at this point.
Okay. So then this would actually seal up that partnership. Does anyone have any further questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the agreement? Motion from Denny, is there a second? Second from Watson? Not seeing any further discussion. Members in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. That item passes as well. And that is the last item we have on our agenda. Like I said, items 2 through 6 we'll have next time, along with the normal reports and things. So we'll have that to look forward to. We do still meet twice a month, even though the council isn't. So we'll have that meeting at the end of July. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion from Watson. Is there a second? Second by Lukens. Members in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. No one ever is. We'll stand adjourned, and then common council will begin in this chamber at 6:30. Thanks, everyone.